Hello and a very warm welcome to you all. I'm Vikas Nangia with CyberWatch, a program through which you get to meet entrepreneurs, technocrats, and subject matter experts. Ladies and gentlemen, in this age of rampant hacking, most companies, especially educational and financial institutions with a great digital presence, need cybersecurity. Today on the program, we'll talk about the impact of cybersecurity on financial institutions with two of our expert guests on the program. My first guest is Umesh Yerram. Umesh is the Global Chief Information Security Officer for the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. My second guest on the program is a familiar face on our network, Lalit Ahluwalia, the founder and CEO of DigitalXForce and iTrustXForce. Lalit and Umesh, thank you so very much for joining us on TV Asia's CyberWatch. Pleasure to have both of you. So let me open up the conversation with you, Umesh. Where is a need for cybersecurity in financial institutions?
Great. Thanks for having me, Vikas. Today everybody has embraced the digital revolution. It's whether we are paying through our phones, whether we are paying our e-bills, we are making investment choices, all your interactions are digital. So imagine you go to an ATM and you're not able to withdraw your money, or you're not able to make, you're going to close your house, but you realize that the money that you sent actually has not reached the closing company.
Right.
So it impacts your daily life. So that's why cyber is very important when it comes to financial services. One of the core critical components in your daily life, whether it's utilities, healthcare, and then financial services, right? So how do you have confidence when you are making those transactions? There are billions of transactions that happen on a daily basis. If you do not have that confidence, how do you make those interactions with your financial institution? So security is the fundamental or the foundation for that trust, for that confidence that, yes, I can go to the bank, I can withdraw the money, I can make this investment choice, and I know that my money is there. So from my standpoint, it's very important to have that cyber security. It's security for your life, for your earnings. How do you make your investment choices? And that kind of is the main reason why I really enjoy my profession, because it gives you a sense of purpose.
Right.
You are actually helping people with their financial health, financial health, for them to make the right choices with full confidence that, yes, I can do what I can with my money, knowing that, there's security built around these systems, which
Right.
I'd use on a day-to-day basis.
Fantastic. Lalit, you'd like to add what Umesh said?
I think Umesh summarized really well with the real-life scenarios of how financial institutions are playing a role in a day-to-day life.
Right.
In any business term, there's a term called follow the money. Any successful business person will tell you that, follow the money.
Right.
What do you think hackers are doing?
Right.
Follow the money. And where's the money flowing from? Financial institutions.
Right. Right.
All the scenarios that you're really talking about, paying utility bills or online bills, doing like online trading, to then really going and doing like, buying things like online, like digital transactions, including we started talking about using the Bitcoins to buy houses.
Right. Right.
And the value of the Bitcoin, like, trading up and down, depending on what day you're talking about. COVID era, if anything that was taught was everything became digital, including any financial transactions and stuff doing. Retirement, fundamental to most of the people, like, who wants to retire and have a happy retirement. Where do you think your money sits?
Right. Right.
Financial institutions, the 401k accounts and everything. Anything and everything that really touches your day-to-day life and also meaningfully impacts is being digitally transacted.
Right.
And we already established that anything that can be digitally transacted is vulnerable and can be exploited.
Yeah. Let's talk about the threats, the cybersecurity threats to the financial institution, what kind of threats one could expect, and also, hand in hand what goes is the digital trust factor. Umesh, your take.
So from a threats perspective, if you look at who is attacking the financial services, right? There's definitely third actors who are financially motivated. Like Lalit said, follow the money.
Right.
The money is with the financial institutions. That's the place you want to go if you want to take the money. And then there are nation-state actors whose motive is not financial, but again, disruption, geopolitical tensions. And you have seen in the recent geopolitical situations, they disrupt the way of life. Financial is critical. Again, I gave the examples. When you go to draw money from the ATM, you cannot. That impacts you personally. So there are two sets of threat actors, and then there are many different threats from those threat actors. They use a variety of vectors to attack not only the institutions, but the consumers or your audience who are watching this program. And it takes a village, like they say, to bring that cyber awareness. I think now it's not just the responsibility of corporations, but for the individuals to have that awareness that they shouldn't be going to a malicious website.
Great.
Clicking on a phishing link that comes, which is very easiest vector that threat actors use, or falling for a social engineering or an Instagram reel or whatever it is. Now with AI and deepfake, there's no difference between what is real and at least the line is blurring between what is real and what is fake.
There's a very thin line there.
Yes, so don't take financial advice from social media or sources you don't know. And then don't click on links that you don't expect. But I think those are the things that you want to be very mindful of, because again, it's your life earnings sometimes that can get impacted, and that happens all the time. So it's the threat actors are motivated to take the money, and then it's the responsibility of the companies as well as the individuals to make sure that they are securing their life earnings.
Right. Lalit, what would you say?
It's absolutely. I think this threat landscape and what we're really seeing is only getting more and more drastic and more sophisticated.
Right.
Let's take some examples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very common example that everyone is very used to and have seen and experienced in some form is the credit card theft. When your credit card data is lost and somebody's filling in a gas tank somewhere else, which he never did, or buying grocery on your behalf somewhere in some other part of the country or some third country, and then your credit cards get blocked.
Right.
Or you will get mailers, or your credit card data was, lost through a merchant, and we are blocking your card again. I think most of us have experienced that. There's one way. Now, what is the motivation behind that? I can steal some money on the digital transactions you're doing, which is through the credit card. Then comes what we call a siphoning of your accounts, like the phishing or smishing campaigns going on right now, where you're lured in to give away some PIN numbers and stuff to your account, and I'm really taking money flushing it out of your bank accounts and stuff is going nullified. Not to say there are instances where people's pension accounts and stuff been wiped clean. All those things are really very financially motivated actors over there.
Right.
Another big threat that we're really seen in the financial services, which happens, in fact, is bigger threat, insider threat and the fraud.
Yeah.
Huge, and that's the reason why it's a lot of regulations are not so much about anything else but the fraud and the regulatory stuff, because it's easy, I can manipulate numbers and stuff, and then who's going to catch me?
Yeah.
That's very heavily regulated, the transactions. And there's general concept of segregation of duties, means you can do this, but you cannot do that for the very same reason. You cannot approve your own transactions. Why? Because they want to really remove any kind of chances of doing that. So these are some of the examples, of course, Umesh hit on some are more nation-activated attacks as well.
Right.
They're not going after literally about the money, but they want to cripple your economy.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's a very different motivation. So all these are real cyber threats. What is really happening is with this AI and the deepfakes and other sophisticated methods, they're only becoming more and more effective.
We're going to take a quick short break over here. On the other side of the break, viewers will continue our conversation with Umesh and Lalit. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. You're watching CyberWatch. I'm Vikas Nangia. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to be in conversation with our experts today on the program. We're discussing on the topic impact of cybersecurity on financial institutions. We're in conversation with Lalit Ahluwalia and Umesh Yerram. Gentlemen, once again, welcome to CyberWatch. I'd like to open up the conversation with you in this segment. prior to the break, you gave a great overview of the cyber threats to the financial institutions, and you gave me a good lead of private-public partnership. How to mitigate that situation? Talk about that part.
See, when you're talking about the public-private, relationships and how important they are to really mitigate the impact on the financial institutions, it really actually is at the core. Think of like a lot of the private institutions are funded publicly, and a lot of public programs are funded by private institutions.
Yes,
they go hand in hand.
Correct.
And let's take example something which we all very familiar with, IRS. I believe everyone in the room pays IRS taxes.
Absolutely.
Try not to pay, and we'll see what the implications are.
Right.
There was an instance just a few years back when IRS itself was breached, where people were able to siphon the money out of your IRS, payments that were due to you, and siphon out to some other addresses because of lack of the security protocols.
Right.
Now, I'm going to take that as an example where it's a great, way of what public and private could have really come together to really mitigate that. So now, is it a responsibility of just pure IRS to really do that? What does the IRS rely on? They rely on other financial institutions under the hood. So IRS might have really allowed, for someone to say, yes, I'm the one who wants to take the benefits out or the money out and put. But what the checks done by the underlying financial institutions of whether it's giving the right account or it really matches behind the scene.
Yeah.
If the handshake would have happened, even the front gate was open, the back door would have been closed. Think along those lines as one practical example, but there are many other ways that the public and the private, because think of all the largest institutions today, whether it's the the banking, the credit card unions, or or credit unions or anyone, they're at the forefront of the cyber attacks and everything.
Right.
What they can contribute back to the government, financial institutions, right?
Right.
And vice versa. What the government institution can say, see coming threats at the national level, and send it back as just the intelligence data. There's one of my very close friends who heads over the whole technology division for one of the largest banks, and we were having conversation about in context of how we can improve the security programs. This was the exact words. You will not believe that how much fragmented we are. We don't even talk to each other major banks today to share the intelligence.
Wow.
And if we could even find a common platform for intelligence sharing, we'll be much leap years ahead.
Right, right.
That's where I'll leave that behind. Now put that in context of the broader public-private.
Actually, there's definitely a push from the federal government from a policy perspective. SEC recently launched their new cybersecurity rule, which forces the publicly traded company to disclose any cyber event of material impact to their investors and stakeholders. So that's definitely bringing more transparency. And one thing that we are seeing within the cyber community now changing is that there's more intelligence sharing. There's ISACs, as we call them, the intelligence sharing networks. And then there's very strong public-private partnership, because I think the cyber has become a very prominent risk. If you look at the top 3 risks, when you look at the Davos, the World Economic Forum, it's climate change and then cyber was in the top 3.
Right.
So definitely impacts our way of life and the future. So there's definitely a recognition at all levels of the government that this is going to be something that we have to address as a partnership.
Right.
So we partner with, of course, FBI has a lot of resources. FBI wants to educate the corporations. We have Department of Homeland Security, CISA gives advisories. There's Treasury Department. Of course, there's fragmented, but of course we get intelligence from all these different departments, not only within US, because we operate in 27 different markets and deal with 18 different regulators. We get the intel from those regulators outside of North America, because the threat landscape is different. Every geography. North America threat landscape is different compared to Europe, compared to Asia Pacific.
Sure.
So we have to tailor our defensive posture to make sure that we are handling all different kinds of threats in the geographies that you're operating. So the partnership is definitely picking up, definitely in a better spot than what it used to be in the past, because everybody has realized that if a threat actor is targeting a certain industry or a operator in a certain industry, there's a chance that they might pivot to you. It's like in the neighborhood, if you hear that your neighbor got robbed, you definitely want to know so that you can lock the doors, right? You want to be extra cautious. So that's the impact that we are seeing now, is that there's more sharing. I think from a business, competitiveness is always going to be there, but now everybody's realizing that sharing definitely makes us more stronger, and there is definitely much more stronger partnership between the companies and the public sector government entities.
The motto at CyberWatch is that let's fight the dark side together. And I strongly believe that awareness is the first self-defense. Viewers, we're going to take another short break over here. When we resume back our conversation, first we'll take a look at the CyberWatch news flash, and then we'll be back in conversation with Lalit and Umesh. Stay tuned and keep watching CyberWatch. Welcome back. You're watching CyberWatch. Ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, we're talking about impact of cybersecurity on financial institutions. We are still in conversation with Lalit Ahluwalia and Umesh Yerram. But before we resume our conversation, let's take a quick look at the CyberWatch news flash. Streaming video platform Roku has warned customers that a staggering 576,000 user accounts were compromised due to a large-scale credential stuffing attack. This announcement comes just weeks after the company addressed a smaller breach in March. Credential stuffing attacks involve hackers attempting to gain unauthorized access by using login credentials that have been leaked or stolen from other websites or services. In this case, the attackers exploited users who had reused their passwords across multiple platforms, allowing them to bypass Roku's security measures. While Roku's internal systems were not directly breached, the attack's scale raised significant concerns. The company disclosed that in nearly 400 instances, the hackers had actually leveraged the compromised accounts to make unauthorized purchases, underscoring the potential financial risks. Omni Hotels and Resorts disclosed a data breach resulting from a ransomware attack on its systems during the Easter weekend. The compromised information includes customer names, email addresses, mailing addresses, and select guest loyalty program data. However, Omni assured that no sensitive financial details or social security numbers were exposed. The attack is believed to be carried out by the Dexin Team ransomware group, which allegedly demanded a $3.5 million ransom, later reduced to $2 million. While Omni did not confirm paying the ransom, the reduction suggests the hotel chain likely had robust backups, enabling system restoration. Security experts speculate the attack vector was likely through vulnerabilities in VPN servers, a common target for Dexin Team. All right, that was a great piece of information for our viewers. Lalit and Umesh, resuming back to our conversation. So CyberWatch has got great participation of viewers. They've started sending in their questions via email, and I encourage all our viewers who are watching this program, perhaps some of you are our new viewers of CyberWatch, you can write in to us at cyberwatch@tvasiausa.com. I categorically remember a question coming from one of our viewers was concerned about mortgage loan papers. He got the papers, the documents actually from his financial institution, and he mentioned the name of DocuSign. People these days can just sign on the email and revert back the contracts back to the financial institutions or wherever possible. The question is, those signatures, they don't even match with the original ones. Now, anybody could sign on behalf of, of a original person who's actual person who received those documents. What could be the implications and what the viewers should be aware of?
A great question, because I think that goes back to my initial take, the confidence in the system that your financial transactions are secure. So DocuSign is one of the, again, from a phishing perspective, threat actors use that as a good vector, initial vector. But going back to the viewer's question, how do you secure that? I would make sure that when you get that DocuSign, you call the company and verify that they are the ones who sent it, and make sure that that's a valid email. because again, when you're closing or when you're refinancing, there's a lot of money involved, and you want to make sure that you are not sending money to the wrong entity or a third actor who is financially motivated to take your money. So that's step number one, I would definitely say. Also want to make sure that where possible, again, we are post-pandemic, if you want to do in person, that's definitely better. But financial service, especially mortgage companies, are a low-hanging fruit or a key attractive target for third actors because, like Lalit mentioned in the previous segment, they have all your information. They have your social security, your address, your finances.
Your job history, everything is with them.
Yes, so that becomes one of the key, easy one-stop shop for them to get everything that they need. So I would definitely encourage viewers to make sure that you talk to the bank once you get that, and make sure that it's the right DocuSign paperwork, read it thoroughly before you signing and send it.
Lalit, as an industry veteran, what is your advice?
Let me give you an example, very practical, which a lot of people must have seen now, experience it. There's a form called identity verification.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're applying for something, it's also validating it's you who is applying. So how do I validate it's you, means Umesh or Lalit is applying, is going through the identity verification where you must have seen a bunch of questions come up. So where do you live in this street? Like things that only you would know.
Right.
And of course, thanks to all these high-profile breaches where even the credit card or the credit score data has been stolen, we don't really trust much. Means
Right.
The biometrics and other things have also come in the mix. Same thing needs to be applied to the other way. When like somebody you're applying or these entities that are really asking you to do, verify these are the right entities. Because that's what Joe was highlighting. If they would have verified the source, that could have really already taken. It's not just the destination, but the source has to be verified too. Now, understand, in the digital world, you cannot do physical transactions, or that's not permissible too much because you're slowing down the pace. And everybody's willing to take the risk. It's about the risk adaptation, right? Or adoption. But in that risk adoption, you can balance the risk by having this mitigating factors built in.
Okay.
That's the best line of defense you can really apply. Of course, pick up the phone and verify, or like transact to the what we call as not through that communication, outside the channel communication to verify so that you put in there. But one aspect that you really brought up, which is pretty new, like somebody else will receive the email or have access, they sign the paperwork and submit it. Now who's preventing me from doing that? It could be like, a simple unintentional error that happened.
Correct.
And now I already signed up this contract because it came to DocuSign, and that's me because through my email. The way you kind of counter that is by having a secondary means, like, okay, this is not enough, like digital sign, you need to verify others. You can set those norms up as well, which is, again, on you now as a responsibility.
Right.
But if you really see the risk, you might want to balance with that extra layer for yourself.
Yeah. I personally believe as the technology will evolve, so will the challenges. They will evolve as well. And so this is going to be an ongoing topic on CyberWatch from time and on when we get the opportunity. We'll discuss again on the impact of cybersecurity on financial institutions. For the moment, it's time for us to wrap up. Lalit and Umesh, thank you so much for joining us and giving your insight, sharing your expertise and knowledge with our viewers. It brings us to the end of today's episode. If you want to write into us, send in your questions, queries, concern, you want us to discuss on a particular topic, you can write us at cyberwatch@tvasiausa.com. And remember, CyberWatch is powered by DigitalXForce and iTrustXForce. If you want to reach out to Lalit Ahluwalia directly, Lalit, what's the best way out?
Through our websites, DigitalXForce.com or iTrustXForce.com, or you can also go through social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, we are available.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you so very much for joining us. Viewers, that brings us to the end of today's episode of CyberWatch. Until next time, this is Vikas Nangia signing off. Thank you for joining us.